Arcadian Vanguard presents the Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Wednesday, April 24th, 2024. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with new developments in the lawsuit brought by Janelle Grant against Vince McMahon. McMahon has made his official response to the suit, denying all allegations of sexual abuse, sex trafficking, and emotional abuse, and submitted a motion to compel arbitration in the case. In the filing made through his legal representation, McMahon accuses Grant of misrepresenting many of the claims made in her lawsuit, stating that she lied about being a caregiver for her elderly parents, as well as her financial struggles. Documentation provided by McMahon's attorneys indicated that both of Grant's parents had passed years before she had ever met McMahon, and that she was not involved in their home foreclosure, contrary to what she had claimed. In a statement made by Grant's lawyers to WrestleNomics and PostWrestling.com, Grant responded to McMahon's filing stating, quote, "Vince McMahon has never known a storyline that he doesn't twist to fit his own shameful narrative. Her father was in home hospice during his final days, where Grant continued to care for him around the clock. Prior to his death, she had been caring for her blind, wheelchair-bound mother, using the grief of someone who lost both of her parents as an all-new level of disgusting," end quote. NXT was presented last night on USA Network, live from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. With his career on the line per a match stipulation, Trick Williams defeated Ilya Dragunov to become the new NXT champion, ending Dragunov's title reign at 207 days.
Who will strike first? Trick shot! Trick shot! Trick shot! Booker! William Slade! The Mad Dragon!
Roxanne Perez successfully defended the NXT Women's title in the opening match, pinning Tatum Paxley in a triple threat that also included Lyra Valkyria. Shayna Baszler appeared during a contract signing between Lola Vice and Natalya for the first ever women's NXT Underground match.
You can try, but when the lights dim, your fate is in my hands. The fastest hands in the division. And my training partner will make them even faster. Dale!
Well, you can see the look on the eyes of Natalya, her former partner, the first ever two-time NXT Women's Champion, the Queen of Spades is here.
Baszler revealed that she had been training Vice, but the two were then run off by Natalya and her trainer, Carmen Petrovic. In other results, Lexis King pinned Baron Corbin after a low blow, Jada Parker defeated Fallon Henley, Sol Ruca beat Belair Davenport, and the D'Angelo family beat the No Quarter Catch Crew with Tony D'Angelo pinning Charlie Dempsey. Turning to a major business development, the Federal Trade Commission has issued a final ruling banning all non-compete clauses across the board and immediately voiding any currently active non-compete agreements. The new ruling makes it illegal for any employer to compel workers to sign non-competes under any circumstances. The ruling has a direct impact on the pro wrestling business, in which non-compete agreements have been in common use for decades, preventing wrestlers or other employees from going to work for any competitor before an agreed-on passage of time, usually 90 days, had elapsed. Barring such agreements, such workers would potentially be able to immediately go to work for a rival wrestling organization immediately after being released or quitting. In ratings news, Monday Night Raw drew its smallest audience in 3 months, bringing in 1.597 million viewers to USA Network, according to WrestleNomics. That's a drop of 210,000 viewers from last week's audience of 1.807 million. The rating in the 18 to 49-year-old demographic was a .52, also down from last week's demo rating of .61. Saturday's episode of AEW Dynamite drew an audience of 461,000 viewers to TNT, according to WrestleNomics, down slightly from the previous week's audience of 467,000. The 18 to 49 demo rating was .13, consistent with the demo rating of the week before. AEW Rampage, which immediately ran after Collision, drew a total audience of 397,000 viewers, according to WrestleNomics, marking a loss of 64,000 viewers from Collision. The rating in the demo was a .13. Both the audience and the demo rating were improved from the previous Rampage episode, which ran in the show's traditional Friday night time slot. In more WWE news, Cameron Grimes' real name Trevor Lee Cattle has been released from his WWE contract, according to an announcement made yesterday by Cattle. Grimes had come up through the NXT system, but more recently had been wrestling as a part of the SmackDown brand. Grimes joins recent WWE releases Von Wagner, Jinder Mahal, Indus Sher, Xia Li, and Zion Quinn. In news from Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling has officially acquired Stardom, according to an announcement made yesterday. According to the announcement, Stardom will become a wholly owned subsidiary of New Japan starting on June 28th. The parent company of both promotions is Bushiroad Incorporated, which acquired Stardom in 2019. The stated purpose of the acquisition is to improve efficiency and reduce redundancy within Bushiroad Sports Unit. And finally, in Major League Wrestling news, the MLW World Tag Team title has been vacated, with MLW claiming that Filthy Tom Lawler suffered injuries at War Chamber 2 last Saturday in what appears to be part of an angle. As a result, Lawler and Davey Boy Smith Jr. have been stripped, bringing an end to their title reign at 53 days. MLW also announced that the vacancy would be filled on Saturday, May 11th at MLW Azteca Lucha, where former champions Manders and Matthew Justice would take on Okamura and MLW World Champion Satoshi Kojima to decide the new title holders. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.